In the previous session, we spoke about stage 3, the mid-reboot. Right now, we're going to be talking about stage 4, which is known as your late reboot. Now, the late reboot is a stage that a lot of men look forward to, and it's a very important stage, so please pay attention. Once you've progressed through stages 1, 2, and 3, the basics are now in place, and you've created a solid routine for yourself throughout the week. Now it's time to dig a little bit deeper. I like to think of stage 4 as a stage where you identify, resolve, and stabilize any life issues that are related to your behavior with pornography, sex, or masturbation. And this simply means issues that threw your life off that you couldn't really focus on during the first few stages. So there are some keys to success to stage 4 as with the other stages. And once you're at the point where you've created the right habits, you've built up a semblance of a successful lifestyle, you start noticing other areas of your life that may have atrophied over time. These are things like your social life, your dating life, your financial situation, and repairing these aspects of your life is going to reduce stress and help you build a more well-rounded life. So what are the best ways for you to address some of these areas of your life that have atrophied, so to speak? Well, the first step would be to learn from people who actually solve those problems in their life. Now, when it comes to fixing other areas in your life, my philosophy is that you should take the quickest route possible. This means finding individuals who have already taken care of the problem that you're struggling with. So you want to consult with people who have seen the movie before, who have faced it and successfully overcome it. And most importantly, they need to know how to teach you to overcome it as well. And again, this isn't just about your reboot or your recovery. This means finding people who are experts at relationships, at managing finances, and even fitness. So find an expert in the area where you're having a hard time and seek their guidance. You can find coaches, you can find trainers for just about anything. And there are plenty of qualified individuals out there who are available to help. Now, I do understand that a lot of men shy away from this because it was probably a big step for you to become a part of a program like this. And I also know that there's this belief that if you ask somebody for help, you're weak or you're needy, or if you seek help from somebody, then somehow you're cheating to get out of the hard process. But brother, these are false ideas. They couldn't be further from the truth. Because think about it. Why would you waste your time fumbling around when you can learn from somebody who's been through it before? You want to work smarter, not harder. And these individuals, as I mentioned before, I love the term. I heard it from a mentor of mine, seen the movie before. They're going to help you accomplish your goals, and they're the perfect resource to help you get to where you want to be. Now, I just want to briefly share with you one of my experiences working with a mentor, just to encourage you at this stage. I've worked with many different mentors over the years, each who helped me in a specific area where I struggled. They really did help me save time and avoid making mistakes. I remained teachable, I remained coachable, and their input made a huge difference in my life. One of these was a dating coach by the name of Mark Manson. And early on in my reboot, I realized that even though I was building a strong foundation, one of the areas where I struggled was anxiety and objectification of women. And as a result of this, I had a horrible dating life. Anytime I tried to speak to a woman that I found attractive, my social anxiety would pop up and it would manifest itself as this severe awkwardness. So I was always getting rejected. And what would I do when I got rejected? Well, I would go back home. I would crank on my masturbation station, and I would do what we do best. I realized after going out, drinking to have some liquid courage and talk to women that I wasn't making any progress in this area. But I was reading this gentleman, Mark Manson's, I was reading his blog, and he talked about building confidence socially, going out and speaking to people. And one day I just decided to pull the trigger. I realized that this guy had been through everything I had experienced, and he had his own system. So I flew off to Austin, Texas. I couldn't afford it at the time, to be honest with you, but it was one of the best things I did. And I had to overcome a lot of fear. I thought that maybe what if it doesn't work? What if everything he's talking about on his videos and on his blog, what if they weren't true? But I swallowed my fear. I went there and it was an amazing time. He had me talk to so many strangers. He analyzed everything I did. He showed me how to move forward despite my anxiety. And by the end of that long weekend, my fear of speaking to attractive women was completely gone. And within a year and a half from then, I got into my first successful relationship. When I say successful relationship, I mean that by December this year, I would have been with this person for 13 years. And none of this would have happened if I did not, at that stage of my reboot and recovery, find a mentor who was an expert in that area. The next key to success for stage 4 is beginning the process of personality change. So as you begin to change your self-image, your personality is going to follow suit. Some people might push back at this change, but I want you to know that there's nothing wrong with this. A lot of men are very attached to their personalities at first, and as a recovering porn addict, though, you're quickly going to realize that certain personality traits are no longer beneficial to carry with you moving forward. And the goal here is to create a positive change in your personality. This doesn't mean that you're going to change your entire personality. Don't worry about that. You're just going to focus on certain traits, identify them, and then leave behind those that are no longer serving you, and in the process, adopt better alternatives. So like developing your identity, your personality shift will continue throughout the later stages of your reboot as well. The next key to success for stage 4 is developing healthy relationships. Your personality change at this stage comes about as you begin to learn how to trust yourself. And along with this comes the ability to start developing healthy relationships. You're beginning to recognize how relationships work, from platonic friendships to romantic partnerships. For instance, you'll learn how to develop healthy intimacy with women. Sometimes you've likely struggled with this for years due to your behavior with pornography. Pornography doesn't teach you how to be intimate. You may have started this process during one of the earlier stages, but the later stages of your reboot, like stage 4, are where you really start to hit your stride when it comes to developing relationships. At this point, you have control over your sexual behavior, and you've started working through a lot of your unresolved issues. You have a stronger sense of self-esteem, you have more self-confidence, and your reboot capital in general is higher than it's ever been. Your relationships are no longer based on a sense of neediness. You begin to enter relationships with a sense of comfort with yourself. The next key to success to stage 4, the late stage of your reboot, is learning how to express your feelings. Now, pornography and masturbation often served as a tool for you to avoid your feelings for years. And if you weren't doing that, you were using porn and masturbation to medicate strong feelings. Now that you've gotten rid of that tool, your feelings have returned and you're learning how to handle them. It's often an uncomfortable but necessary part of the process to overcoming your behavior with pornography and masturbation. Stage 4 is where you begin to start working on being vulnerable, being open, and being honest in relationships in ways that you never were before. And it's an ongoing process, like many other parts of this system. You're not going to be forthcoming with your feelings all at once, though. You'll learn how to shed the unnecessary layers one at a time. So it's a process that's going to take a little bit of time. Next, when it comes to a key to success to stage 4, is learning how to take risks. Now, I'm not talking about the same type of risks that you took when you were acting out with your compulsive behavior sexually. I mean taking emotional risks, which is in many cases more scary. I'm talking about the risk of being hurt by being vulnerable, the risk of being hurt by sharing your feelings. Another one of these risks is a loss of traditional structure in your life. So you became used to doing the same thing year after year, trapped in this negative downward spiral of your addiction. And now you're moving away from that. You're moving away from that old structure and you're letting go of patterns that no longer work for you. And this can be risky because you're very used to that. So at stage 4, you're stripping away the unhelpful parts of that old structure. You're stripping it away and you're rebuilding your life. As you do so, you want to make sure that you're making room for new things. You'll also be interacting with your friends differently. You'll be a lot more engaged with your partner. You'll be trying new activities. You'll be experiencing things that you wouldn't have before. And all of this might feel like a big risk, but you learn how to sit with it a little bit more. In the past, when you experience risks in your life, it was similar to going to a train station and getting on the train and then just going down the path to acting out sexually. What happens at stage 4 is we train you how to go to the train station, but instead of getting on on the train, you actually just sit and you watch the train pass by. Then you sit and you watch the next train pass by. You're no longer getting on that train. You're no longer riding the risk to a place that you would regret. Once you've made your way through these benchmarks at stage 4, you'll be finally approaching the last stage of your reboot, stage 5, which is aptly named the maintenance stage. So if you've stuck with me so far, I'll see you on the next session where we speak about this final stage.